I said there's a difference between net neutrality and a company.
Right.
The company has the right to do whatever they want to do with their on their ISP or their server. They have the right to do that. They own it. If I don't like what I see on there, I can take it off. The difference between that and net neutrality is that on the net, on the actual net, I should be able to do and say whatever I want to say. But if if I'm on this company's website and that company says I don't deem this as net, I don't like what I see on here, I'm going to take it away. They have the right to take it away. Right? They have the right to take it away. So that to me is what I think that the difference between the two. You should be if I run Google and I said on you doing on my website, I don't like what you said on Google, I'm taking it away. You have the right to do that.
Right.
And if I'm on the natural web and then I'm just talking on it, I should be able to post up there whatever I want to.
Right. And I mean there should be no one editing the content on the internet, quote unquote, the entire thing.
Right.
I do see the need for, say, people like the content monitors on Facebook, also the people who spend their days day in and day out, like with the CIA and FBI, obviously doing things to stop illegal activity on the internet. I see the purpose for that, but I don't see the purpose to take down someone's particular thoughts, even if they disagree with yours, even if they are the most hideous, awful shit that can possibly be spewed on the internet. It still has a place to be commented on and judged.
Right.
Because if not, then we have lost the one tool that we have as a species, because we have evolved to this. We didn't get here through. We got here through slow progression. I mean, when we started, it was analog everything. You know what I mean? It was a rotary phone, or it was passing messages in class, you know, because way before even the first IBM.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you're thinking that in the public, 30 years is really where this has evolved from. In 30 years, from like, say, 1987 to 1989, I think was the first like real hardcore intranet, which kind of like developed for businesses servers, you know, because every company always had an intranet, which means an in-house system versus an internet, which is a wide, you know, I don't want to get into specifics of the internet, but there was always a version of the internet. It's just it wasn't globally accessible
until 1990.
Yeah, I mean we had cell phones in the 80s. It was called car phones.
So what's going on with 8chan right now?
So 8chan is basically, specifically, I wanted to talk more about the internet side. But the reason why 8chan has, I didn't even know 8chan existed prior to the recent events that happened on Sunday. Because what's his fucking name? Who doesn't need to even be?
I don't even know his name.
It doesn't even matter. Basically, he put his murder manifesto basically on 8chan. That was his. I'm gonna do this. This is my manifesto.
Right. That's
and
what
just
he did.
like every other fucking crooked-sided moron is doing the same thing. They did it on 4chan. You know what I mean?
That's what
that interconnected Newfound, I think it was New Zealand, right? Where they just had you and I, you remember that, right? When we were talking about that, the synagogue shooting, excuse me, the
mosques,
the mosque shooting, yeah, and how he had like it was like almost watching a COD video, like a Call of Duty video.
I sent you that.
You sent it to me, and that was the first time I'd ever seen like a mass shooting taking place. That wasn't edited by the media.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was like a fucking live stream of straight murder. And I couldn't believe how unaffected by it I was. I mean, I mentally knew what was happening. Yeah, but it was just like, it didn't affect me. And that fucks with me right now. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this is that 8chan is the updated version of 4chan, and now it's being shut down.
Yeah.
The owner said, no, I am not going to promote this kind of ideology of misogynistic, whether misogyny, racial, absolute hatred.
You know what I'm about to say, right?
Go ahead.
First of all, this dude, and I'm going to tell him, and I hope he's watching this, you're full of shit. All right? Because all this stuff was going on your 8chan way before this shooting and everything went down. He had no problem with the rhetoric and everything that was going on prior because he's probably getting paid and making money off of it. The moment this happened, now all of a sudden, he's not a part of it. They were doing this beforehand. 8chan was the reason why all this was happening in the first place because they couldn't do it on 4chan. They went to 8chan to do it.
So they evolved from 4chan to 8chan. Okay.
So they were doing this before then. Now that everybody is so-called, upset at what happened in the last weekend, now all of a sudden they don't have a problem. It's like saying Trump saying, "Oh, I hate Mexicans," and then when a bunch of Mexicans die, he feel bad about the Mexicans. You know what I'm saying? You knew all this stuff was happening beforehand, had a problem, didn't have a problem with it. Now that this happened, all of a sudden I got to wash my hands of it. You're full of shit.
And this is the reason why we're talking about this, is because now is the time to talk about this shit.
Right.
Like, you're coming off of a terrible event. 2 terrible events. 3, if you actually account the one in Chicago.
And
which
4,
is not making news.
The Garlic Festival.
And there was one more. There was another.
The Garlic Festival. Yeah. When was the Garlic Festival?
That was almost in the same time span.
Right.
Was it, okay? It was El Paso.
But that was I think they were talking about that was a gangland shooting with that one. I don't think it was necessarily. I don't remember.
I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to the argument that if the weapon discharged multiple times,
I'm not saying it's not a mass
shooting.
I'm not saying it's not mass. I just think that was more gang related, but I'm not saying it wasn't a mass shooting. Not to mention, there was a dude that his grandmother called the FBI on to tell him he was about to do a mass shooting. And that was supposed to have been done over the weekend too, but the cops stopped that one. Yes. So there was a kid whose mom, he was 21 years old. His grandmother called the FBI to tell him he was about to do the same thing that was happening, and the cops arrested him. So they had caught him before he did it.
So we got it. You know what I mean? Like, we saw enough red flags on that one that somebody decided to stand up and
somebody
do
saw
something,
said something, right.
But basically, the one that took place in a bar, El Paso was the one in Walmart, right?
That's the one in Walmart, right.
Okay, and Dayton was the one in the bar, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What I saw today is that basically it shows I saw an article that basically shows the Dayton shooter going in an hour before and hanging out with his sister and a friend. And then he kills his sister. Like, that's how fucked up this shit is. Like, dude, if you are struggling with life and you are so messed up that you can't figure out a way out, dude, seriously, go get some help. Don't believe everything you read on the goddamn internet. I mean, seriously, if you're in trouble mentally, go reach out and help somebody.
That's different. I mean, you can't. That's why these mass shootings happen, is because they're not willing to do any of that. Most of the time, there's a certain point where these mass shootings take place. It's a moment before clarity, where they're right at that point where it's going to happen. It's almost like when you commit suicide. The moment you're about to commit suicide is the moment you don't think about it. That's where these people are at. They're not in that headspace like you think. They're not going to help nobody. They can't even tackle the deepest questions of life, let alone their own questions of themselves, so they take it out on everybody else.
1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months before. You can tell someone who knows what's going on with themselves can figure out a way to help themselves, some way, shape, and form. It is possible. I mean, if you're mentally... give me a word. I'm going to say something I'm not supposed to. If you're mentally inept, from being able to rationalize,
I don't know. If
then you should already. Some people should already know about your state of mind.
I don't think most of these mass shootings are due to mental illness either. I mean, that's another.
Do you think it's the ideology that they read on 8chan?
No.
Or religious extremism? Or
no.
Okay,
cowards.
give it to me. Huh?
Cowards. The reason why they doing this is they doing it for fame.
So
that's all it's all about. It's fame. Before I go, because I'm already don't like myself, right? Because I'm doing all this stuff has now been done either by the media, by the internet, or social media. Before, you would have never heard. Before all these killings happened, right? None of this was going on because the media wasn't covering it. Nobody cared about it. Nobody heard about it. Nobody said anything. The moment the media started getting really involved in it, everybody started doing mass shootings because I want to get my name in the paper. That's why they took remember, they started taking out the suspects' names off out of the news altogether,
right?
So they wouldn't get the fame that they weren't. But in the beginning, everybody's name was in it.
Right.
And they couldn't wait for that.
And I noticed something through the progression of American history and, say, going back to 1999 and going back to Columbine. You know what I mean? That used to be the reference point. That used to be the identifying point of where shootings have always happened. Mass shootings have always happened. But when we look back, we can always tell that when we reference to the beginning, it was always Columbine. And that's not the case anymore. Now we reference to Sandy Hook. Because that had to do with children.
That. I think we've gone beyond that. Because now it's not even funny anymore.
No, it's disgustingly overdone.
No, it was never funny. But, I mean, it's just like, before you be like, this happened, this is the worst shooting since this, the worst shooting since that. I can't believe they're doing this. Now it's just another mass shooting.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I'm
just
saying?
another day. It's just another day in America.
That brings up a funny point that you say that. My friend says because my friends, two friends, again, I'm not going to say any names, they were talking about this very subject, and one of my friends was really upset about this because it reminded her of the Pulse incident.
Right.
Which we are an Orlando-based podcast, so we all have lost something in that.
Yeah, we all were affected. The city was scarred by that event.
Right.
We're permanently scarred. And she had a traumatic effect from it, and she was asking my other friend, how do you feel about all these mass shootings happening? And he's like, I'd hate to say it, but I'm numb to it.
Right, because it's happening on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? It's like living in the hood. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All the shootings happen. So many shootings happen. You be like, bang, bang, bang. You look around, be like, oh, somebody got shot. They go about the business or whatever else you're doing. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And then it's sad to do that, and it's sad to say that, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? We just don't care anymore.
The numbness is just the way it is. You know what I mean? Because eventually, if you overreact with the human mind, it eventually gets tired.
Yes.
It gets tired of processing the same repetitive information over and over again. You know what I mean?
And you keep expecting a different response, right? Because you're crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
The reason why we're affected right now is because 2 shootings happened within 12 to 24 hours of each other
reason why it's
in entirely two different places.
Mm-hmm. All done by 8chan, all through 8chan. So they saying that's where the connection is, and that's why it's such a big thing this time around. But 3 weeks from now, we have another mass shooting.
Oh no! Like next Tuesday,
right? You gonna go
we've
through the
scheduled
whole
it on
family thing, and
CNN.
it's done.
Don't worry, we've got enough block time.
I hope no other mass shootings happen.
I hope so. I mean, we don't want the tragedy to happen, but
no.
Knock on wood.
But
you know what I mean?
I'd
no
be
more death, guys. Let's just honestly say this.
Die of old
Let's
age.
just do a wrap up right here because take care of each other. Stop doing all this negative shit to each other. Treat each other with respect. I know on a personal level it's hard to deal with some people sometimes, but really if you just talk to someone you wouldn't normally talk to and get their opinion and their side of things, maybe we would all be a little better off. If you just had a goddamn discussion with somebody instead of shooting up a Walmart.
And one more thing, it might actually benefit a lot of people to listen to people that, annoy you, because just in the off chance they say something that might save your life.
Or here's a better thing. Listen and watch the podcast.
Thank you.
Get your mind off of everything.
Yeah, I mean, we're a bunch of silly, dumb assholes, and all we do is we pretend to know what we're doing the best way we possibly can. None of us are perfect. No one here is perfect.
But remember to read a book.
Yes.
They forgot about that one.
Yeah, read a book.
So when you go on these websites and you see this aggressive bullshit, tell somebody. If you don't think that you're able to take care of this issue, contact someone who might be able to. Yeah. And if you personally are struggling as someone, if you're watching this, mass shootings, suicide, all of it isn't a way out. It's just a quick goodbye. Right. And guess what? You're already forgotten. Your shooters' names are already forgotten. Sorry, all you did was open Pandora's box to fix the shit you did so it doesn't happen again.
And if you think about doing that, anybody watching that, fuck you, man. Don't come on. Like, are you really going to try to do that to people around you who couldn't care about you? They can.
Why would you look for fame when they kill you? You're dead. You ain't going to be able to enjoy it. So shut up. Stop.
Yes. Get outside, read a book, get a hobby.
Get a basketball. That's what my mother told me.
Even better.
I think basketballs are now too expensive for us to buy. We need to buy it on loaner.
Or Amazon.
Pawn shops sell basketball now. So
Hey,
that's where we are.
Walmart's got them cheap, $24.49.
All right, we got to wrap this up. Eric from
Eric.
Holy shit! There's
Who
not
the hell
even
is
Eric